Hey guys, welcome back to episode 9 of Double the Hustle podcast. I'm Tori.
And I'm Anna, and today we're going to be talking about something that has changed the game for both of us. That's the power of proximity and relationships.
We're talking masterminds, we're talking mentorships, and sometimes it's better for who you know and not what you know.
The power of who you're around and who you know versus what you know.
Yeah, sometimes it's who you know and not what you know, and can get you a little bit further in whatever journey you're in, to be honest with you.
I feel like it matters, proximity. I think it matters more than anything else, essentially, because I feel like you could just know people and get into different places that you never even thought like doors would open for you. Like sometimes you don't even have to have like a degree or anything, and you can still get in. It's just based on who you know.
Yeah, of course. I think that happens a lot with real estate, on your listings and things like that. But especially for school, even like for certain things, like when I'm going through school, obviously I'm going to be a veterinarian, and when you're going to school, obviously you need that degree. But it might benefit you if you know someone in a school, or you know your family with someone in a school that's very high and you want to go, like you want to go to that school.
Get into the school that you
even
want
though
to
they
get
say
into.
that it's not.
We all know that they do stuff to get you in. So I think it's really crucial, and I think sometimes networking is very powerful, and people overstep it.
Yeah, even if you have the knowledge.
Yeah,
networking will get you 10 times further.
Yeah, they don't think
as a veterinarian, even if I have the degree, but I go do social media and I'm at networking events, it'll get me so much further in the field than just going to the practice every day and practicing.
Yeah, I think that, I think people overstep it because social media has like downplayed it a little bit, because I think it's powerful to network on social media. I think you can do it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder because you're not face to face with somebody, but I also think that it's watered down networking because you could just go to anybody's page, look at them and see what they're doing, and try to cold reach out to them, So
Right.
I feel like actually going out, networking, maybe finding a community to join, a networking community, or simply going out, after work to network with people. If you listen to Dan O'Neill, he's one of my mentors for real estate. And in the beginning of his career, he talks about how networking changed his whole entire career. And he would go every day after like sitting at the office to Insignia and sit at the bar. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't spend no money. He would get a water and maybe an appetizer. And he would sit down, but everybody that came up next to him, because it's such an expensive steakhouse,
He would have a conversation.
Was there for a reason, and he would input real estate into a conversation, or just shake their hand and say, "Hey, my name's Dan." And eventually, it's local to home.
Yeah.
And it
Local
got him,
yep.
further. So I think that doing something like that is as scary as it may seem.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that could, help you grow exponentially in your career. It's like having a mentor that could, set you up, take 3 years away from your career that could have been disastrous.
Right.
So I think networking will put you that much further into your career if you just pair it with something else that you're doing.
Isolation is not going to make you grow. So you need to put yourself out there. You need to network with other people to be able to get in those positions, whether you have a mentor or not. But being a mentor or trying to find a mentor is very hard, but it's also important. I think everybody, whatever field you're looking to go into, whether it be you need college or you don't need a degree, you should find a mentor that you're looking towards to get to, because it just puts in perspective like what you want your life to look like, and you now know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there.
Yeah,
so
I
you
agree.
have to have a goal or a mentor or someone in mind that you're like, oh, I want to be exactly like that.
Oh yeah, I agree, because I think mentors are huge, but I think they're like so hard to come by. Everybody, if you ask anybody,
I think everybody wants to be a mentor and tries to, but to find a good one that actually does what they're supposed to do is hard to come by.
Yeah,
you can find a mentor. Everyone's selling something online. Oh, come to my class as a mentor to wholesale real estate, to buy a car wash, everyone's trying to sell something to you, but finding a good one that actually does the right thing and you actually want to have that sort of life is very hard.
Yeah, but I also think that it's social media in a way that shows that they have a good life.
Yeah.
So it is hard to find somebody who actually has
doing the
life,
grind,
who's doing the grind, who has, so I feel like if anybody out there is looking for a mentor and wants to find a mentor, the first thing you do is you go search. You create an avatar of who you want, where you want to be. Find somebody that's doing that, whether that's through, you could use a little bit of social media. You could use a free course. You can use YouTube. Use these free things at first to gain knowledge of who you want, where you want to go, who's the top in the industry, who's the little guy that's really pushing and is going to be there soon because maybe you want him too. You just want to follow him.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the top guy that you want to follow. If you're following somebody that's just, I always say, like, don't go for the guy that's 100 steps ahead of you.
Right.
Go for the guy that's 5 steps ahead of you.
Right.
Get to where he is and then keep going.
Yeah.
You don't have to jump for the farthest person, away from you because that's going to be the hardest ultimately to gain. So I feel like when somebody's looking for a mentor, first go in for that free stuff, try to find somebody who can help you along the way and then go and pay, because I feel like myself, I've spent a lot of money on courses and all these things because I feel certain times I've just jumped right in and been like, oh, that's the person. And maybe it's not. And I've spent a lot of money, thousands and thousands of dollars on buying somebody's course, subscribing to their monthly too quickly without doing the research. I mean, right now I'm in a group for real estate that I got into, and it's a monthly subscription. You have to pay monthly. And I've been in one before and I've done a bunch of them. So you have to, weigh out your options and see what do you actually think is going to help you. Right. You can't just jump right in. And, I've learned from my lessons, but I'm happy that I did them and I'm happy that I got to see in those people's businesses what they've done. But essentially you want to stop yourself from spending so much money and just finding somebody that you can actually gain from.
And these mentors don't have to be like a whole life mentor where like that's the life you exactly want. You can have a mentor just for something that you want to quickly do, in real estate or in your career. And then you can have a mentor like as a life and what you how you parent your kids, or you know what I'm saying? Like
I agree, because you're not going to pick somebody to mentor you in
that's identical. Yeah, everything
in like going to the gym and getting the best body you want for the person who's going to make me sell $1 million of real estate this year.
Yeah,
they just don't compare. One's not going to know how to. They may both know how to sell, but they don't know how to, how to represent both themselves. And I think that that's huge too, because some people choose like a whole life mentor, like who they want to be. But like some goals, like we talked about this before, some goals are quick, or some conversations are quick. You just need somebody to guide you in the right place. And that could mean a 15-minute conversation.
Right.
That person is still a mentor. They still gave you advice. Mm-hmm. And I think that people sometimes are looking for like a mentor that is going to guide them. Yes, in a career, or yes, in, let's say a body like competition or something like that, bodybuilding, whatever. But sometimes these people come into our lives for, to have a conversation for 30 minutes that you may meet. And that person is giving you insight and giving you, growth tips or whatever that you met at a networking event can still be some sort of, mentor to you and somebody that you look up to.
Yeah. Going into those networking events and masterminds and groups like that, that's another way that you can level up after having maybe a mentor, or even you maybe even be able to find a mentor there.
Yeah.
But mastermind groups is another way to level up and build relationships and get people close to you that you want to kind of see and mimic, because when you're in a mastermind or a community or event like that, they all want to be there. They all paid to be there, and they're putting their all in to be able to level up. You don't have those Debbie Downers. They don't just pay to, put people down. So all those people in that room want to be there for that reason. So that can be another, another place that you can find your mentor or be in a group that's going to keep you accountable and push you and grow relationships to then, have a great group around you.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that these events are a little bit tricky because people go to these events because they want to be around like-minded people.
Right.
And I think that you have to come out of these events. It's so exciting to go to these events.
Yeah.
You go them, your head is so filled with,
Everything you wanna
inspiration,
do.
motivation, everything. When you're sitting at this event, the quickest thing you want to do is get home so that you can start building, right?
Yeah.
And everybody feels that and wants to do that. And I think, like you said, it is a great place to find a mentor. And I think it's something that everybody should do, is go to one of these big, events, whether
whatever
it's
you're into.
Andy Elliott or, all these big guys that host these huge events. I just think that they are crucial, but at the same time, you have to implement what you're going to do when you get out of it, right? Because this could be, you have to create a circle for yourself. Maybe while you're there, of like individuals who can hold you accountable or who live in the same state. Because essentially these big things are maybe like in, a major city and everybody's flying in for this event. So everybody's not around you, but you want to create a circle of people after that event that will hold you accountable for everything that you've learned at that event. Because essentially if you walk away and forget about everything, you spent sometimes $10,000 on a ticket that you didn't even use.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like coming out of these events using, all of these things that they provided value to you, you have to create a circle of people. And we can talk about circles because that's something
not big,
huge.
super small. Could be 2 other people.
Yeah, that just help you, every day that you maybe check in with, see what they're doing, tell them what you're doing. But you also want these people to reciprocate the same, the same goals as you and the same kind of consistency back and forth.
Yeah, you
because
don't want,
if you're just being somebody for them and they're not helping
you want the same back.
You want the same
of course.
back. So I think creating a circle after you get out of there could be very crucial because you're going to spend money, like we said, on whether it's an online course or whether it's you're actually going to the event, which is sometimes more expensive. You have to fly in, get a hotel, do all this, and you leave with value and you don't use it. A lot of people don't. There's probably, I don't know exactly what the statistic is, but probably at least 60 to 70% of people it's probably higher. I'm just going on the lower end, don't use the information once they leave the event.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think more people need to, because a lot of people are excited when they go there, but I think more people need to get on the going to those events and relationships, because investing in your access to those people is super crucial. Super important. Like, get the degree, whatever, but like going to those events after you have even a degree, or even if you don't, will help you get to that next level by investing in your access and being able to reach those people. Because I mean, yes, you can also get access other ways by cold DMing on social media if they answer, or emailing them, you know what I'm saying? But definitely, like, buying your access can definitely
and we've bought our access a couple of times, like we went to, and I enjoy this a little bit better so that you can create relationships, but try to find maybe a smaller event.
Oh yeah,
like
course.
we went to Gary V's event,
the book signing,
at the book signing at the liquor store that his dad owns. In New Jersey, is that where it is? So, I feel like if you go to a smaller event, maybe they're more likely to recognize you, or next time if they meet you a second time, or just they're able to have more conversation with you at the event.
We were able to spend 15 minutes talking to Gary, and then we met 2 other people that we still talk to. In that small, maybe it was like 50, 75 people, if that.
I don't even think it was that many people. And I think like his high school Spanish teacher was there. So it was like super people important. That he knew. It wasn't like the world was there, you know? And I think that's something that maybe people, it wasn't expensive at all. And it's something that you can capitalize on that not a lot of people may know about, or people aren't flying in one day before to go to a book signing somewhere, So
I agree.
I think that
the smaller ones,
the smaller events, even if they are more expensive, and sometimes there are like credentials to get into these smaller events, like maybe the sales events, you have to sell a certain number or hit these numbers. But if it's just like a mentor that you're trying to seek for, let's say social media, like Gary V, or something like that, some mindset, mental health, I think going to these smaller events may, or buying maybe a VIP ticket, quote unquote, to essentially bring you more value and enable you to get closer to these people without having a whole crowd there.
I agree. Talking on those events and things like that, what is a sign that someone is in the wrong room?
So I think it's something that everybody has to go through. I think, you want to go through that. You don't not want to go through that. So like I've been in some like situations in my life where I'm like, like, oh shoot, why did that happen? Or like mad that like something happened, but like it really builds you for like who you are. And I think that it's necessary to go through things that put you down and make you struggle. It makes you realize that like it's building you up to be the person you are. You may not know the answer now,
right?
But you will. You'll realize why you're there. And I think that that's the greatest thing, is realizing once you've gone through something, realizing why you were there and why you were in that situation just brings such like a smile to your face and like such gratitude inside, because if that were to never happen, you would never be where you are now or where you are going to be in the future.
Right.
So I feel like being in the wrong room at first and you have to recognize it. But until you recognize it,
if you're uncomfortable, if they're not cheering you on, if you're growing and they're not, and you see like they're making you uncomfortable with how much you're growing, you need to get out.
Yeah, I think and you'll realize it.
Exactly. Once
if you're strong, if you're disciplined and you're motivated, and you know that you're going to be something different, you'll figure it out. I truly believe that. Like if you believe in you, like it's a 24-hour grind to believe in yourself. Like it's hard. Like not everybody has that mental strength to believe in themselves every day in and day out. Like I got this. When something shoots you down, I got this. So I think believing in yourself, and then just being aware of what's around you, that's huge. Because if you're in a room that doesn't suit you, like you said, maybe I think the biggest thing is when somebody around you doesn't have bigger goals.
Okay,
right? Maybe
you're not
tell them your
maximizing
goal.
your proximity with relationships.
Exactly.
Because,
I think if you tell your goal to somebody like, okay, I'm going to sell $1 million worth of real estate this year in GCI and commissions, and you looked at me and you said, there's only 6 months left. You're never going to do that.
Right.
I think that's means we're in the wrong circle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
2, I think something else is when somebody tells you like, make your goals smaller.
Right.
Like if you, let's
try
say,
to go closer first, then
let's say like week after week, like you're not hitting your goal.
Right.
And somebody's like, well, lower your goals a little and so that you hit them. Like, no.
Yeah.
Why are you lowering your goals just so that you can hit them?
Yeah.
What's that going to make you feel? Oh, good for 2
seconds. The good feeling is when you're in the shit and you're trying to grind through. Yeah. It's not actually when you get to the goal.
It's over then.
You're going to the next one,
Yeah, it's like being at the top of the mountain, You don't want to get airlifted to the top of the mountain.
No.
Because you want to go through that grind. That's what makes it so exciting once you hit it.
Right.
You don't just want to lower your goal so you hit it and you're like happy for a day. That
exactly.
It's not, I really think that it's crucial to be in the right room. Once you realize it, you'll understand it, but I think that that's 2 major things that like you can look out for, at least to see if you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, so like if you're hitting a plateau or you're in business and you're like, I don't think I'm, I need to level up. I don't think I have my full potential. I know I can level up. Get a mentor, go to these masterminds, find the right one and research first. But being in these rooms full of people that have the same expectation and goals and even better goals than you do is super important. That it's, knowing people is better almost 100% of the time than what you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think
definitely.
And there's some really good, at least for people who live in New York, there's some really good like masterminds that are coming up.
Oh yeah.
To be able to go to. Mel Robbins is holding some sort of networking. Her podcast live event is going to be, I think it's either in May or June here. And I think it doesn't, like we said earlier, it doesn't have to be for, one thing or for your career. She's going to whether she's going to have a live podcast and you're going to learn from her. She speaks a lot about like mental health and like how to just grind through things. And her new book came out, Let Them and Let Me. And I just think that like being around a different type of attitude could change your perspective. So that's something that's coming up for people who live in New York, or even if you don't live in New York, you could still fly in just for that. And then also Jay Shetty has an event this near the same time. So essentially somebody could fly into New York and go to both events. Right. But I think that even his event I was looking at to go to, and he has like a VIP ticket. You can do meditation before the event with him.
That's so cool.
And and I think that that's cool. Like that's somebody who's a high level who, you know, you can get closer to by a VIP ticket. And I think essentially he's giving value before the event, right? So you're going and doing meditation with somebody who practices this every day for, I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure he does meditation in the mornings, like as a morning routine for like an hour or maybe 2 hours. And I just think that that's what has allowed him to get to the point that he is in his life today. And I feel like you buy a ticket, you get there, you do the meditation with him. Now you take that and you do it every day.
Right.
Now you know that this is what somebody does to be successful every day. Now you implement that into your routine. Right. And I think that
even it's just that, but you know, he might talk to you and then you might be able to ask a question and get major advice on how to move on or something you're stuck on. You know, like
exactly.
Those little asking one question to like the person that you want to be like, you know what I'm saying? Getting to be able to ask your question to maybe move on to the next step. That's so crucial. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how you build relationships and, you know, level up with your relationships that you have, or maybe, you know, that you meet people, you know, you meet people.
It could go both ways, you know. I feel like it's very good to go to the networking events, but then again, like even
like don't go blow your money every
please don't go spend $20,000 because it may and it may not. You know, you may meet the right person, you may not meet the right person. So I think pairing that with also going out in your local area works too. You know, like going out and
if you're a small business,
if you're a small business, if you're a salesperson, going out and even, you know, rekindling with people that you may have went to school with, or, you know, even new people too. I just think that getting out there, getting your name out there, getting referrals
just your new
based
idea,
on a sales business, you know, I think sales business perspective from me, I think getting out there is really huge. Like you could meet somebody out that, you know, that has money and is looking to buy real estate, you know, you could, so it's essentially for me, I think that the thing would be to stay around locally. You know, it's me mentally going to a Mel Robbins event is good, but for my career, I don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to go to, you know how to sell. You know, you have to go out and network. You don't have to go spend $10,000 on a ticket somewhere to Florida and get a mastermind. You can. Yes, it's amazing. You're in the room with big people, and I think that everybody should do it. But I don't think that if you don't have the money, I don't think you should be spending your last $10,000 on a ticket to Florida to go out and
find a
sale.
mentor.
Go out to, you know, eat at a nice place. Anywhere, you know, just go to the nice restaurants, spend $100 on dinner,
or not even an appetizer.
Like you don't even have to spend that much money. Like we said, a water and a lemon, and sit at the bar, you know, and just maybe watch a game. And when somebody comes to sit next to you, start talking to them. You know, it's that simple. And I think a lot of people are scared,
intimidated. Totally.
It is scary, you know, but I also think that it builds you to be somebody like,
and if they're by themselves,
very strong.
If you think about it, if they're by themselves, what are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? So you might as well start a conversation. Like people are scared for, like, you know, to put themselves out there, but think about maybe what it could do.
Don't be scared. Like it could change your life. More. Like it's not. And if they say no, they say no, right? It's all the time. Like
if they're in a bad mood,
then stop talking to them and turn around, you know? So I think everybody's scared of like the unknown. And don't be scared of the unknown. Like it's just something to start creating and start just building piece by piece. We always talk about brick by brick. Every day is a new day to start building your house of brick, right? So I just think that doing the small things will help you.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be lavish and always have to be expensive. Just getting out there and just getting one sale, get the ball rolling, you know, and then you can start doing these things that these bigger people are doing.
And it doesn't even have to be that. If you have a sales job on the side and you're trying to build something else, talk to your people, your clients.
Yeah.
Like if you're a hairdresser, talk to your clients every day. That's networking.
Yeah.
If they have something going on and you have something going on the side and you mention that, hey,
I think another
you got one more person to know it. It doesn't have to be you going out and sitting somewhere by yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, yeah. When I started real estate, I was still working at running the pizzeria.
Yeah.
And every day I actually typed up a letter, or not a letter, just a brief saying like, hey, I started real estate. Come eat a slice with me and talk about real estate. And I put it on the front window.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody now, like when I go back there to like work, like once in a while, if I pick up coverage or something like that, like people say like, oh, how's real estate doing? How's this? How's
they
that?
Already know.
Like they know. Mm-hmm. So I feel like even doing that, like you said, if you're not starting your hustle and you want to just get yourself out there about it, just start a goal. Let me have 5 conversations today about my business. Side hustle with 5 different people, you know, and that's 5 people that didn't know. And sometimes I would just be like, hey, how are you? Yeah. And they'd be like, good, how are you? I'm like, great. I actually had a great week. You know, this week I closed 2 deals selling real estate. And they're like, oh, you sold real estate? I didn't even know. Yeah. Now they know that I sell real estate. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think it's those few things. And I think getting yourself out there in the easiest ways that you can. And you can also do that through social media. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that it's harder to do that now that social media is so big, but it's just consistency like anything else. You know, I feel like it's a saturated market essentially, but
the cold DMing on.
Yeah, like cold DMing and
but
stuff like that. But
people still liking it. People will answer, so do it.
Yeah, I think it's something else to add. You know, I don't think that it's right or it's wrong, but I think that there's so many different avenues to go. Yeah, so before you like get yourself all worked up on trying to conquer 5, maybe conquer 1 instead of, you know, trying to conquer 5. But social media is another good way to network, even, you know, with other businesses, see how you can help them and how they can help you. Yeah. I think one thing that I did to kind of network with a business was we were sending out postcards to our farm every month. Yep. And I reached out to a business that was in the community, Locust Valley on Long Island. And I reached out to them and I said, hey, you know, I'm looking to serve your clients in this area. I know that you're a local business over there. Would you mind if I put a $5 off coupon on the back of my postcard so more people come to your business? Now I'm paying $1,000 a month to mail them out, and they're getting free business from that. Yeah. You know, so I think that
for you to grasp a client, maybe grab that coupon and they'll look at your
and they'll keep maybe they'll put it on the fridge to save the coupon. Yeah. And now my face is on the fridge in the household. Right. You know, so it's just little things of getting, you know, out there. That's another good way, partner with a local business to help get yourself out there, and create a way of essentially networking, just on a smaller scale.
Yeah. So if you're trying to level up, definitely relationships is definitely key, and bringing, you know, people closer to you, whether it's a mentor, networking, masterminds, or even using small businesses, local businesses around you and your current career to help your side business. Super important. And I think it's key to growing to the next level to when you get there. Yeah.
I think that proximity is the best thing that you could do. Yeah. You know, who you're around is going to make you level up. And guess what? When you've done so much that you've leveled over those people, you go and you find new people to be around at every stage and at every level of your life. Yep. Yeah, you just will find new people to be around. Always find different people to be around, better people to be around. If your goals look small to them, you're in the right room. Right. That's how you'll know. Essentially, you're in the right room. Their goals are way bigger than yours, and you're that's learning the goal. Them. Yeah. You know, if they've already met your goal and they have bigger goals, that's where you want to be. That's how you know I'm in the right room. Yep. I can look up to these people. Exactly. And that's essentially where you need to be at that point in your life.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to episode 9 of Double the Hustle podcast. Twins out.
Bye, guys.